What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tuesday afternoon team call. I'm super excited today. We're not going to go over really any announcements. One thing that I want you guys to build a habit of, put it on your to-do list at least a couple times a week, is to go into your Coach Online office and look at the coach breaking news. Also, make it a habit to go to the Beachbody Champions page, Team Beachbody 411 page, because if there's ever promotions, announcements, anything like that, it's always going to be put in those places. Like when you see myself or Beth, or maybe your upline leader putting stuff in the team page, they're typically just finding that in the coach breaking news or listening to it on a national wake up call or any of those things. So you guys can find those anywhere there. Today, we're going to have a guest speaker. Her name is Beth Isbell, and we only have about 30 minutes, which is perfect because we had everybody I know had a busy Labor Day yesterday, trying to get back on track today like it's a Monday, even though it's Tuesday. And so we want to make this clear, concise, to the point, so you guys can get back to your families, your obligations, and working on your business activity tracker. So Beth is an incredible coach. She is actually like my great grandbaby coach as of right now. She came into our business through high school friends of mine who brought her on. And she is an incredible leader on this team. Not only did she build her own team to elite, she also mentored another coach who built her team to elite. So if you've seen Mallory Landry, she is also elite coach. That's one of Beth's personally sponsored coaches. So she's an incredible leader. I look up to her a lot. There's times in my life when I'm not very organized, and many of you guys know that, where I would just get like texts from her and she like kept me on track. Right. Like I don't remember when it was, like 3 years ago, we were working on something and she would just like text me the things that we needed that I hadn't put together yet. And she's just that person that's just serving, whether they're above her, to the side of her, or underneath her team. She's just there to serve. And that's what makes a great leader. So with that being said, Beth, I'm going to allow you the opportunity to share.
Awesome. Thanks, Scotty. Hey, could you make me like a co-host or a host where I can share my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I have like perfect. I have the most basic set of slides, but whenever I was talking with Scotty and he was like, just share your best practices. And I was like, okay, so whenever I don't have like a super specific topic that I'm sharing on, like best practices, that's pretty like general, right? I like to just do a quick brain dump. I'm big on timers. My team knows this. I just set a timer and whatever comes to my mind is what I write down. And then that's just what we go with. Okay. So that's what I did literally this morning. I prepped for this call about 2 hours ago because holiday weekend, all of the things. But honestly, I feel like it's going to serve us a little bit better today because it truly is my top 7 like best business practice tips. And it is just what came to mind without me overthinking and questioning if I'm sharing the right thing. And so I just really feel like content that kind of comes that authentically and organically whenever I kind of approach it from that space tends to serve me better anyway. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys. So I have 7 tips for you. Whenever I did this brain dump and I kind of like just jotted out a little bit of an outline, some notes so that I could not squirrel brain, because in exactly 32 minutes, I have to go pick up my little one from preschool. So whenever I was kind of jotting down some notes to keep me on track, I was like, you know what? I feel like some of this would be best served if you could actually see it. While just the tip, not like how I'm going to elaborate on it, but just the tip that I'm going to be sharing with you to kind of just help you, like visually be able to stay on track with me. So I'm going to pull the chat box up. So if you guys have questions, comments, whatever along the way, I will be able to see those. And we're just going to go with it. So these are essentially my best business practices. And I want to kind of kick us off with this. I believe this is something that I heard from Julie Voris. I think this is something that she says often in a bunch of her trainings and stuff about how this business is a personal growth opportunity with a compensation plan attached to it. And something else that Julie Voris also says is you just have to focus on the TNTs, the things that take no talent. And I think the really cool thing about this coaching gig, outside of all of the other things, is that in order to see success in your business, in order to grow the business that you are capable of, that you are worthy of, that you have a goal of growing, you truly do have to make self-improvement, personal development, personal growth, however you want to, whatever you want to call it, however you want to label it, a way of life. Okay. Like that is amongst all the 7 tips that I'm going to share with you. I truly do feel like they all kind of go back to that, right? This understanding that in order to stay consistent with the things that are going to grow your business, you have to stay in the trenches of personal growth, right? And so I feel like if take a picture of this or write this down, because this is something, you know, when I'm in those moments of like, okay, I'm really struggling in this area of my tracker, or I'm really struggling with this over here in my business, whenever I can take a step back and I can remind myself, okay, it's my responsibility to continue growing through what this process of being a coach and growing this business looks and feels like. I'm always able to figure it out. Okay. So kind of jumping into what these 7 tips are kind of leads me into my first tip, which is I feel like you really have to have a solution mindset. Now, I want you to think about it from this space, right? I think it's very easy to be like, okay, a solution mindset, you focus on the solution, not the problem. But I want you to think about it from this space. When we are problem focused, we tend to develop like a victim mindset, right? We kind of sit back and we like wait on somebody to come save us, to come tell us the right answer, to come teach us something. When truly, outside of the fact that Team Beachbody, like corporate in general, gives us everything we need to know and have resource-wise to grow a successful business, you're part of Dynasty Strong. So you have an additional layer of resources, community, support, trainings, talent to learn and grow from as well, right? So we really have to kind of take ownership over understanding that if we continuously focus on the problem, the thing in our business that we're struggling with, we're going to always kind of take a back seat to the business that we are not growing, because we're just kind of sitting there waiting for somebody to come save us, if you will. But if we can kind of shift our approach to be more solution focused, right? Have a solution mindset, then we're truly able to take personal ownership over our business. Something Scotty mentioned at the top of the call was how, you know, a couple times a week, honestly, every single day, you should be getting into your back office and looking at the coach breaking news, right? The coach breaking news isn't updated every single day, but that is like that's your business, right? Your coach online office, your back office, whatever you want to call it. So it's becoming a CEO. It's taking action in your business in a way that aligns with you taking ownership over the things that you need to learn, right? The ways in which you need to grow to build the business that you know you're capable of, and in turn, the business that you want to build, right? So we have to develop a solution mindset. We have to take personal ownership over our business, focus on the solution, not the problem, and we can't sit back and wait for somebody to give us the answers, okay? Tip number 2, you have to learn your way through your tracker. Here's the thing about this business. There's no secret, right? That beautiful blue and white tracker that we all know and love. We're running an actual business activity tracker kind of boot camp training this week, right? To like literally break down the activities that it takes for you to implement to grow this business. There is no secret. That tracker was put together by the top coaches in the company who are like, corporate's like, okay, how did you build this 6-7 figure business? And they're like, boom, here's how, right? It is that tracker. And I think it's very easy to look at that tracker and kind of feel a couple different ways, right? I think we can either feel overwhelmed by all of the boxes, or we can feel really confident in some of the areas, like maybe getting our workout done, being proof of the products, drinking our Shakeology, focusing on our nutrition, personal development, even, you know, leaning into our client groups and helping our customers get results. But that big chunk that's like connect, invite, follow up, social media, you're like, ah. So you just kind of put your blinders onto it and you avoid it because it's uncomfortable or it's going to challenge you, so on and so forth. So that's where this tip kind of comes into play. You have to learn your way through it. Another really cool thing about being a coach is that you're forced to kind of be a lifelong learner, right? As long as you're growing this business, you have to consistently be learning. Now, you can look at that as a struggle, an obstacle, a challenge, or you can have gratitude for the fact that you're growing a business that's built on you becoming better and learning more, right? And one thing that I will say, and kind of why my brain kind of went to this tip when I was doing my brain dump this morning is, for me, the best way to learn is by doing, specifically when it comes to this tracker. So even if you're like, I don't know how to build relationships, I don't know how to invite people, I don't know how to follow up. Well, you're not ever going to be able to figure it out, right? Because we're taking ownership we're becoming solution focused. You're not ever going to be able to figure it out if you're not doing the things. Something that I have my newer coaches do, or any coaches on my team who are really struggling, I'm like, okay, do your tracker for 7 days, do it for a full week, do it to the best of your ability. And at the end of the 7 days, send me a picture and we can very easily look and see where the gaps are. Okay, well, if this is a box that you avoided all week, let's talk about why. But if you're not doing it, then we don't know. Scotty said this, I don't even know if he remembers, but he said this on a call years ago. I'm talking like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't even remember what the call was about. It just like was burned into my brain. I tell all my new coaches this. Yeah, decades. He said that he tells his new coaches, okay, now that you're a Beachbody coach, don't go getting all weird on me now. Like, don't act like you don't know how to talk to people. Don't act like all you know how to talk about is Beachbody, right? Like, you know how to communicate with people, right? You know how to talk to people. You know how to share things that you love. And that is what this tracker is. So I want to encourage you to just do, and then use your tracker that you've done for, a week, 2, or a month to kind of serve as data for you so that you can really learn your way through how to be the most effective and efficient as you can in each of those areas. And a really cool thing about our tracker is that I feel like the skills that you develop as a side effect, as a byproduct of doing those activities, really does impact lots of areas of your life, right? This business forces you to think differently, to behave differently, to show up differently. And you actually become the best version of yourself, a better version of yourself by just doing these activities, okay? Tip number 3, lean into your team. The people we choose to surround ourselves with will eventually shape the way we think, behave, and feel on a daily basis. So by surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, lend you knowledge, help you learn from, your mistakes or how to overcome your challenges, those people are going to help you eventually raise your standards and become the version of yourself that you're trying to become. It is the beautiful thing about Team Beachbody and Dynasty Strong. Lean in. Show up to team calls. I know that it's challenging when it's in the middle of the day, or even if it's in evening, because of family time, bath time, bedtime, all the things, right? Like, we're all the busiest people that we know, but get on the calls live, get to the retreats, get to Summit, get to the Success Club trip, make it a non-negotiable to lean into this incredible community that is being built all around you, because you recognize and you realize the importance and the value and the impact that all of these people are going to have on not only your business, but your life, right? Tip number 4. And this one, let's just talk through this one, because I feel like it's like, how do I do that, right? Create content that attracts. So this is something that came out in my brain dump, because I feel like it can feel like one of the most exhausting things to feel like you have so much value to add and so much to give with the total solution pack in your bod group and all of the things, but you can't find anyone that wants it, right? That wants to take advantage of it. I'll share with you that it was like at the end of my first month of saying like, okay, I really want to do this, that I was trying to hit Success Club, and it was the last day of the month, and it was 10:59 p.m. Central, meaning like the deadline for the month to hit Success Club. I had 4 Success Club points. My team has heard this story several times, and my husband was already like in bed, asleep. I think the TV might've been on, but he was asleep. And I was like doing all the things in my it wasn't an office, it was just a spare bedroom. But I was like sending messages and following up and whatever. And I was trying to get those extra 2 points. And it just like wasn't the cards, like it just wasn't gonna happen for me that month. And I went into the bedroom to go to bed, and I just sat on the floor beside the bed and I just started sobbing. My husband wakes up, right? And he like looks over and he's like, are you good? Like, what's going on down there? And I'm like, nobody loves this as much as me. Nobody, like all the things, right? And I felt so defeated that like, I was just convinced that nobody out there could possibly love not only these programs as much as me, but this business and how I felt. Like nobody was ever going to get it, and nobody was ever going to feel the way that I felt. Well, obviously lies, right? Because here I am 6 years later with an incredible team and lots of clients. But it felt so real in that moment, right? And he's like, well, so you're telling me like the 2 people that you helped this month, they don't matter, and that you don't have another 30 days starting tomorrow where you can like try again, right? It didn't make sense to him because he wasn't in the thick of it. But it felt so real to me to feel that way, right? And so when thinking through like how I've really been able to kind of overcome feeling that way. How many of you can relate? Just throw it up in the chat. If you can relate to like, you have so much excitement and so much energy and so much joy about what you want to share, but you just can't find the right people. Like that's what you've told yourself, right? Like, I just can't find the right people. Yeah. Okay. I don't know who to connect with. I don't know how to build relationships. I can't get people to say yes, all of the things. One thing that has really helped me is leaning into creating content that attracts. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying skip the part of your business activity tracker that says connect and engage with people and find your people while you just spend all your time creating content and crossing your fingers and hoping that people come to you. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. What I'm saying is, while you are doing these business activity tracker activities and you are leaning into searching for your people, right? That's important, especially if you're earlier on in your business, if you're a newer coach, or if you're trying to like really get the ball rolling with your business, no matter how long you've been coaching, those activities are vital. Vital. Like with vital means without it, you're dead. Without the vital behaviors, your business is dead. You don't have a business. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is while you're doing those things, I want you to think of, this is something that I learned from a course that I took with Josh Coates, and it's called a belief bridge. So it's basically like, okay, here's your customer, knowing who they are, right? Knowing who your customer is. Here's where they are right now. Here's where they want to be. So you have to figure that out, right? Like, who is your customer and what are they struggling with right now? Where are they? What do they want? Where do they want to be? And what limiting beliefs are getting in their way? And then you address those things, right? Now that you could think of this from the space of like, okay, the Beth that I was 6 years ago, before I found these programs, the community, and the business, to the Beth that I am now, like, how are those characteristics of me different? And what did I have to overcome to get from point A to point B? Maybe if you're newer in your journey, it looks a little bit different, right? But really thinking through how you can add value and serve the audience that you're wanting to add value to and serve, and really leaning into that when you're creating your content. Stop overthinking content creation. You do not have to be the funniest. You do not have to be the fittest. You do not have to be the fill in the blank of whatever you convinced yourself that you need to be. You just need to serve your people. Okay. Tip number 5. So there's this book called The Gap in the Game. It's an incredible book. Can't remember the name of the guy that wrote it. You can Google it and find it. I'm sure it's on Amazon, but it basically talks about how we focus on how far we've come versus how far we have to go. Something that I think is truly challenging in this business, especially as you maybe start to hit some of those benchmarks and some of those goals that you've set for yourself. What is that saying? New levels, new devils, right? I think it's very easy to look at another coach that maybe you look up to or admire, and you're like, oh, yeah, like, must be nice to be so confident talking on social media, right? Or so have already like reached your fitness goal and like be super in shape. Like, of course, people are going to want to join you, kind of a thing. But what you don't realize is that that coach, that person that you're like placing essentially that judgment, right? Let's be honest, that judgment on, like, they're going through their own challenges and struggles and things that they're having to work through in their personal journey and in their business too. So if you consistently focus on how far you have to go versus how far you've come, what's going to happen is no matter what goals you achieve, you're going to always feel like you're falling short. You're not ever going to feel fulfilled. You're not ever going to be able to celebrate all of the incredible work that you are doing in your own personal journey and in your business, right? So you truly do have to focus on how far you've come versus how far you have to go. Even if you didn't hit Success Club last month, I want you to think about the way that you showed up and find something to celebrate, and then use that celebration, no matter how big, no matter how small, to create momentum in your business for this month, right? Of course, it is severely important for you to kind of find the gaps too, right? In the sense of how you showed up and how you did or did not take action, so that you can kind of pivot for the next month. But you're not going to pivot and take action if you're not focusing also, and most importantly, first and foremost, on the things that went well for you. Okay. So you don't want to feel like you're in this hamster wheel, this kind of rat race of always like chasing the next thing, but feeling like you're getting nowhere. The only way, in my opinion, to prevent that is to focus on how far you've come, because I promise you, there's always something worth celebrating. Tip number 6, stay inspired. How do you do that? Here's how I do that. Have goals. You have to have goals. I talk so often with coaches who will say, like, maybe they set some goals before and maybe they missed them, right? Like Success Club or Diamond or, you know, whatever, that instead of thinking through how they can kind of shift their goals, maybe to look a little bit differently, or maybe to put a different date on them, or whatever the case may be. They're just like, oh, okay. So I feel like when I set goals last time, I just like really got in my own head and it like kind of paralyzed me from doing anything. So I'm not going to have any goals. I'm just going to show up and do the things. You're not going to show up and do the things. Please let me tell you, like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be honest here. You have to have goals with your business in order to stay inspired and to feel inspired to show up. Okay. Whether that is goals within your own personal journey, every single month and or every single time I start a new program, I create a habit tracker for my program and for the month. What things am I going to focus on this month in my own personal journey and then also in my business? How many people do I want to help, right? How many new coaches do I want to help? How many of my coaches do I want to help hit Success Club? How many workouts do I want to get done every single week? How much water do I want to drink every single day? How many treat meals am I going to build in every single week? You have to have goals that force you to stay inspired to show up. You also have to do work that makes you happy. Now, caveat again, what I'm not saying is to only do the work that makes you happy, because if that were the case, you'd be avoiding your business activity tracker, right? The things that are uncomfortable or that kind of push you outside of your comfort zone. What I'm saying though, is that there is a way to not just check those boxes, but to, what I say is like, instead of just checking the boxes, be the boxes. Like find ways to bring joy into inviting, into the content that you're creating, into the conversations that you're having, right? You truly do in this business, to me, have to allow your joy and your hustle to align, which kind of takes me to tip number 7 here in just a second. But you have to force yourself to stay inspired by the way that you're showing up, the way that you're serving others, because why would other people want to join you on this journey that you're on if you don't even feel inspired enough to stay the course? You know what I mean? So we really have to kind of think about it from that space. And then tip number 7 is protect your recovery. So something that I wanted to share with you guys is that I have, I don't remember where I heard this. I heard it months and months ago, but it's called a no way zone, right? So it's like, I have my work times and then I have my downtime. And in my downtime, that's like, I'm momming, I'm a wife, I'm doing housework. I'm like doing all of the 37,000 other things that we have to do besides grow a successful business, right? I call that my no way zone. And let me tell you, it took years and years of hustle and grit and all of the things of this business for me to get to a place where I felt like I could truly kind of delineate the two, right? I have gone through seasons where I've been like all hustle, no joy. And guess what happens there? You feel burnt out, you feel overwhelmed, you feel frustrated, and you lose sight of tip number 6, how to stay inspired, how to find joy in the work that it is that you're doing. Okay. I've also been in seasons where I'm like, rest, recovery, don't feel burnt out and frustrated. And then guess what? I don't have goals that are forcing me to show up and push myself and challenge myself and grow into the person, the leader, the coach, the whatever it is that I'm wanting to become. Okay. So be very clear on those work times, those up times, and the downtime, the rest, the recovery, and create a no way zone so that you truly are being protective over the energy that you want to be putting into your business. Severely, severely important. I'm telling you, if you don't, you will start to feel burnt out. You will start to feel frustrated. And here's the other thing too. My last slide here is questions. So I'm going to stop share so I can see you guys. If you don't create that delineation and you're not crystal clear on like work time, downtime sort of a thing, and you're not seeing results in your business, you will quit. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You're going to sit there and you're going to say, why am I doing this to myself? Why do I feel so stressed out, so overwhelmed, so frustrated? I'm burnt out and I'm not even reaping the benefits of this business, right? You have to protect that. And I promise you, when you protect that, right? When you're focused on your business activity tracker and your work and you're building relationships and connecting with people and helping your clients get results and helping your coaches do the same thing, you will have never experienced anything like it. It is the most incredible feeling. It is why we do what we do as coaches. Don't rob yourself of experiencing that because you don't know how to manage your time. Okay. All right, I have 10 minutes, 7 minutes for questions. I wanted to leave. I'm really proud of myself for getting through that in like 23 minutes, but I really wanted to leave a couple minutes at the end for some questions because I feel like that's kind of the value in having a new face on, not a new face. I feel like a dinosaur too, but you know what I mean? Like somebody speaking on a team call is to be able to kind of pick their brain a little bit based on what you need. So Scotty or anybody.
I have a question, Beth. First of all, thank you so much. That was invaluable information. I loved it, every second of it. I just enrolled a new customer and I was thinking he would come in either as a PC or a coach, but he said he wasn't ready. He didn't feel he had a story. And he said he needed to work on his mindset. And I remember that we are, a mindset business with a really great compensation plan. I don't want to try to convince him, but what would you say to someone like that who wants the mindset, but is afraid to come in as a coach or a preferred customer?
So as far as coming in, first of all, I think coming in as a preferred customer is like a no-brainer to me. I feel like it only they get that first month of their membership for free. And we want to encourage them from like a retention perspective to stay on product. So as far as a PC goes, I don't really think that this piece is relevant, but as far as coaching goes, here's what I would do. I would totally like relate the fact that, because I'm sure I can speak for both of us, Laura, when I say that coaching forces us to pay attention to the mindset piece, right? So it's like nobody comes, well, unless you're like a unicorn, I don't know, but I surely did not come into this business like my mindset is in check. I know everything I need to know. I am positive always. Life never gets in the way. Come on, no. Even I'm going to go on ahead and say that there's not a unicorn out there that truly feels that way. They might be convincing themselves of that, but like, let's be honest, right? So really walking him through like, look, just give this business the opportunity to give you that piece instead of vice versa, right? Like nobody's going to relate to or connect with somebody who has all of their ish together. Nobody does. So show up messy, show up imperfect, and use the coaching opportunity the way that you are committed to inspiring and helping other people as leverage to really lean into the personal growth, personal development mindset piece of what it is that we do. Does that help at all? It's kind of like flipping it for them, right? They think that in order to be a successful coach, they have to have, this, whether it's a physical transformation or the mindset piece or whatever, when really being a coach is what gets us to where we want to be. So it's almost like we have to kind of flip the script on them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. I'm going to replay this part back and take down all
Good.
word for word. Here's what Beth told me to tell you.
I love it. I'm glad it's
I think reiterating on that too, I think about, obviously I loved the products for a year before I started officially coaching, and I had income goals right out of the gate. But I think now 12 and a half years since my first P90X workout, I don't think I would have been able to stay on track like I have without being a coach. So maybe helping them understand, and that would be by you sharing your experience. One of the biggest benefits I get from coaching is not saying like, I can make extra money to pay for my supplements, or I make extra money to pay for my kids' dance or whatever. One of the biggest things that coaching has done for me is it's helped me hold myself accountable to my own workouts, to my own nutrition, knowing that I need to be an example for other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
I love that. I have time for one more.
Hey, this is Gio. How are you guys?
Hi, good.
Good. So just really quick, because I know you have to head out. With my personal content, something that I'm starting to learn now is to definitely, like how you were saying, to talk to your ideal client. That's something that I'm definitely learning now after quite so many years. But one of the things when I do reach out to my quote unquote ideal client, they'll see my videos and say, you know what, I just can't really do what you do. So what kind of questions would you feel would be like the best way to kind of that gap, as far as like how you were saying with the Josh Coates, to make them kind of believe from where they're at to where they need to go?
Yeah. So something that I did probably 6 months ago in my business was actual market research. I don't know if it's like officially what it was, but that's what I called it, where I literally posted on my stories. I was looking for the mom who felt like she was in a rut, right? How general is that? Like we all could define being in a rut in very different ways. That could mean something very different for a lot of us, but I knew that I needed to get inside their heads to know how they defined it and what they specifically struggled with. So then I could walk them through, like how to get to the other side of it. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. Just, you know, make a post on your stories maybe, or if you know of some followers or even some of your new clients or people who maybe haven't walked through their journey yet, just ask them like straight up, what is it that you're struggling with? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want it to feel like? What do you feel like is holding you back? Just questions like that are literally going to give you the answers you need to then talk to them like in a broader audience space on your social media. That's something that I did, and it provided a lot of clarity for me on those specifics, because here's what happens to me anyways as a coach is I think even like in regards to my current clients, like the clients that I work with, if they post in our group or they reach out to me and they're like, gosh, I'm really struggling with my nutrition. And I don't mean this. I feel like you guys know my heart, so it's not going to come across this way, but I'm going to caveat it with this. I don't mean this in any kind of way, but my initial like thought is you have access to the entire Portion Fix program or 2B Mindset program on like, go through the videos. It tells you what to do. Like, I don't get it. Why are you struggling? Just go through the videos and do what it tells you to do. But that's because I'm 6 years removed from being in the true trenches of struggling with my nutrition. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like I'm disconnected from that exact struggle. When I think back to the Beth that I was 6 years ago, I can feel those differences, but it becomes very easy for us to feel disconnected from them, right? Even if the person that we're talking to, our ideal client, so to speak, is who we used to be. So by doing that kind of market research and literally just asking them, you know, like, what is it that you're struggling with? Where do you want to go? What do you feel like is holding you back? And you just taking detailed notes on those things and then creating content around it, that's going to be it was super valuable for me, because then it felt like things that I'd become super conditioned to, like, oh yeah, I totally struggle with that. I just have a system in place that helps me navigate that. But our habits become habits to us, and we kind of forget that we're even doing things to help us in certain spaces. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, especially with coaching, I always say, no matter what your goals are with coaching, you will literally become a better human in the process. And because of that, although that's amazing, it can kind of force us to feel a little bit disconnected from what other people are really struggling with. And so it was really cool for me to like hear what those challenges were, and then to think through in my own journey, oh yeah, I totally struggled with that too. I just created a system or a new habit, right? Like I replaced the old habit with the new one, and that's helped me work through it. So how can I teach that to them in a space of, and this is key too, we have to come at it from, we have to help them see that what we do or the way that we show up is not like out of question for them, right? And I think by really getting their responses and using their language in the way that we're adding value, we're really able to like take ourselves off the pedestal of not like, it's not that hard, wake up at 5 a.m. And instead it's like, look, I get it. This, and this. Here's how I wake up at 5 a.m. anyways, right? Like nobody wants you like pointing the finger at them, like, just do this. It's not that hard. It's really freaking hard. It's just not hard for you because you have this new habit. You know what I mean? So it's a really long-winded way, Gio, of saying, do some market research, ask some questions. And this is something that I'm working with a couple of my coaches on right now too. If you want to shoot me a message or something, I can kind of share with you some of the questions that I specifically asked my audience, how I kind of like took notes from them and then created content around it. So if you want to shoot me a message, I would love to help you with that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Cool. You're welcome.
Well, you need to get off and get your little one now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Beth, for this absolutely incredible call. I got a ton of value from that as well. I would even love to see some of those questions maybe in like the team pay, like make a little post or a Google Doc or something. That would be awesome. And yeah, I'm grateful for everybody that hopped on the call live with us today. Obviously, if you know someone on your team that you think would highly benefit from this call, I'll have the recording up within an hour so that you could share that with them. We're grateful that you're part of this team, and let's keep crushing it. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Beth.